It is a holiday. Today is a day that I never in a million years thought we would be saying. And by the way, that's Turnstile or Turnstile that I've just recently fell in love with, a song called Holiday, and I felt like that was appropriate for today because today is 5 years since we first started doing the show. I am beside myself when I think about that because most podcasts don't last more than a year. Now, listen, do we do it every month? No. I mean, our schedules are pretty fucked as it is, and we do it the best we can. As a matter of fact, we just confirmed this 24 hours ago. Like we said, hey, we're doing a show tomorrow. And
well,
we
had it on the calendar. We had it on the calendar.
Had it on the calendar.
Then yesterday, I think I was looking at my my picking schedule and just sort of my winery schedule right now because it's crazy. And I'm like, oh shit, I have my show with Anthony tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's when I texted you, and I'm like, hey, we're still doing that, right?
Yeah.
And that was also the moment I had remembered that I'm like, oh, tomorrow is also, and we didn't pick this day on purpose, by the way.
No.
We did not choose August 27th for the 5th anniversary show for any other particular reason than it was a Wednesday, and but holy crap, it's the 34th anniversary of 10 and the 31st anniversary of No Code.
Yep.
Right? I mean,
crazy, right?
That's fate right there.
It really is. And you know what's interesting about this show was I remember reaching out to you after I left Wishlist Foundation. I said, hey, Trey, I have this idea. We had already done an episode together on when I did Strange Tribe Live with the Wishlist Foundation, and we were working together and blah, 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 blah. We all know how that shit show went. But anyway, I messaged you and I'm like, this is what I'm thinking. And dude, you were like, let's do it. And I'd be honest with you, we had never met in person previous to doing the show. When we first started the show 5 years ago. 5 years ago yesterday, as a matter of fact. 45 episodes, 46 if you include the charity event we didn't see.
45 episodes.
45 episodes, 1.7, I don't know, I gotta look at the numbers. I could be wrong. I think it was 1.7. It's a fucking crazy number. Ridiculous number of downloads. But anyway.
1.7 downloads. That's ridiculous.
1.7 million downloads over 45 episodes.
1.7 million.
But then the crazy thing about it is then the amount of between you and me and different events we've done and that we've been a part of, we've raised almost $47,000 in 5 years from multiple different charities. We've done different things together. And then we did shows together for 3 years before we first officially met, which was you coming to Kansas City and, you know, me telling my wife
staying at your house,
staying at my house. That was, and me picking you up at the airport. That was the first time. And, but I will say this. And this is and we'll talk a little bit about this in a little bit because tonight's episode really is about what Pearl Jam music in general does for us and different factors of that. It's not necessarily about a song, but the idea of what music can do for you. And what I will say this, and the older I get, the more I realize this. Music to me has always been something as a comfort and a blanket. I've lived a very weird life where I've been in and out of people's lives. My parents weren't really there for me a lot. I slept in my car, left at home at 16. So I had a lot of people go in and out of my life. The only constant things in my life was music and sports that I've always been held true to. Like music to me, songs to me inspire memories to come back to moments, whether they were good or bad, but that's kind of how they bring things together. Pearl Jam was my way of trying to find belonging. Like I love Pearl Jam music. You know, my dad's ex-girlfriend was the one who introduced him to me. I remember going to, was it called Pineapple Records on Long Island when she went to get Verses and being hesitant about putting the tape in because she loved 10 so much that she was nervous that Verses wasn't going to hold up to 10. And these things remind me, and like Pearl Jam's always been that kind of comfort blanket for me. And it introduced me to so many great people. It also brought a lot of, tragedy in my life, but also brought great things to me. And you're one of those things. You've been there many of times. You're one of my, I would say, greatest friends. I adore you. Like, I mean, for 5 years, we've had multiple conversations. We have on and off the air. We've seen each other many of times in different places. And it's a true friendship that means a lot to me. And, my family knows you, I know your family, and it's something that I really hold true to. And the crazy thing is we live far away from each other. And the reason we know each other is because of a bunch of guys that decided to write music, and that music meant so much to us that we were just pushed to talk about it. And then that sparked this friendship and this lifelong friendship that I hope that we've done this show and these experiences together, and we've raised money and we're able to help people out because of a fucking band.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have a feeling that there's, thousands of similar stories that you and I have because of Pearl Jam as well. Maybe not the same path, but the friendships that have been formed and continue to this day through this band are many, 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 many. I would say hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, uh, have become friends because of the music, because of the band, because of the live shows, because of the community that they've created. And maybe it's some of the causes. That's the other thing. You think some of the causes that they've stood behind, that there's a possibility that a lot of these people have, if you think about Jeff Ament's projects in Montana, with his Montana Pool Services and his skate parks that he's building, there's probably a lot of people that are involved in that project who didn't know the first thing about Pearl Jam and the first thing about that band or their music. But they quickly came to find out that he is, Jeff is an awesome dude. And, uh, he brought those people into the family. So anyway, there's a lot of stories like that. You and I know you sent a little summary of what we're going to talk about tonight. And as I went through all the questions or went through all the topics that you posted about, almost every answer came back to it had something to do with friends that we've made through this band.
Yeah.
If it's a certain memory of a certain show, it's probably because I was with a good buddy sitting next to me watching the show, not necessarily just the show itself, because obviously those are always great. And we've seen shows that are better than others and all that stuff. But what makes those shows, for me, what's made a lot of those shows great, is the friendships or the people that have been there with you to experience those with you. So, yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
And same thing for me to you, Anthony. I appreciated you. I was honored that you would even think about wanting to talk to me. I'm like, well, I'm just a winemaker over here who likes Pearl Jam. So, but we've discovered we are a lot deeper than that. And, I love being able to use our platform for good. And, I've loved certainly the fundraising aspect of it. It's been awesome. But, even just building this community of listeners that, maybe we've introduced people through this podcast. Who knows? You know what I mean? So,
well, it's interesting. And I the older I get, the more I've, like I told Brad this recently, was the first time I've ever actually said it in person. And it kind of made me comfortable saying this. I'm real comfortable behind a microphone. In public, not so much. I don't really like, bringing attention to myself. And I've, for a long time, have tried finding somewhere to belong, like a group to belong with, like just to fit in. Like I was never a popular kid in school. I was never really a popular kid in general. Like I've gone in and out of phases. Like I just never could find my true belonging anywhere. Like I didn't know
yeah.
where to fit in. That's why I joined certain organizations, and then they fell out, whatever. And it's been tough for me because, like, and I'm not, and then I'm also like, I'm very flaky as a person. Like I don't really like reach out to people as often as I should. I don't know. I get lost in a lot of things, and I think we all do when we get older. But
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. That's asking a lot of everybody to do that. So, but
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I think the most constant thing I've had really is, I mean, like this show is probably the most consistent thing, and I'm not someone who follows through with a lot too. Like I got too much shit going on. You do, we all do. It's just part of life. But I will say this, like this Pearl Jam community, the last time I saw them when I was in Seattle, I think Seattle was the last time I saw them. which is pissing me off, by the way, now that Matt's not in the band. I should have fucking seen him on
Can
this
you
last
believe
tour.
that? Jesus Christ
Fucking
almighty.
bullshit. But and then it aggravates me more because I thought he was just quitting playing, but he's like, no, I'm going to continue playing, which opens up even more fucking questions. But that's for a whole nother show. But it's like going to Seattle and just like seeing. I remember I saw you at the KEXP event that they had, and that
Yep.
you and Holly, and then had like 2 people come up to me and like, oh my god, I enjoy the show, and I'm like, it's just weird when people talk to you that listen to the show or watch the
Mhm.
show. Or, like I had an email a couple weeks ago, like, hey, when's the next episode? I'm like, I've listened, was waiting. It's just weird to me that people even listen to us a fucking mumble. And I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm just a Joe Blow idiot. Like, I don't fucking know anything. But before we get really deep into this, because we have a lot of topics, I know your time's short tonight, and so is mine. I am really excited about the wine I'm drinking tonight. This was gifted to me by my best friend Brad, who I just got to see in Portland when I went and saw 9 Inch Nails up there, and that was amazing. Except I did ruin his birthday, which is a whole nother conversation. I'm just me and fancy food. Me and fancy food do not mix well, and that's. I got real. That was awkward. I don't do fancy restaurants well, and I didn't prepare myself anyway. But he came and gave me these bottles of wine, and this one brand of wine. I'm gonna say this wrong. It's Kaena. Cayena. It's from the Santa Ynez Valley. Is that how you say it?
Santa Ynez
Valley.
like Santa Maria, Santa Ynez. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's north of Santa Barbara, and a little bit east and inland from Lompoc in central California, but on the coast. That area is mostly known for Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, cooler varietals. You get down to Santa Barbara. Now, that being said, it is because it's a little more inland from Lompoc. I'm sure they've got some warm spots. Because you said that was a Cab and Petit Verdot, I think, a blend of Cabernet and Petit Verdot.
Petit Verdot, and then 10% Grenache.
So Grenache.
Yeah, so it's smooth. And I will say this, like, I don't have a loyalty to one brand except Sleight of Hand Cellars. Go check them out, buy their wine. But for the most part, like, I tend to like go out on a limb and I'll try new things.
Yeah.
But Brad got me hooked on this brand. When I was just in Portland, we went through like quite a few bottles of this. It was amazing. Great. It's easy drinking. It's super light, very flavorful. And I know the one thing that people say about red wines are they're hard to drink. They got a hard taste to them. I will say this. If you are new to the red wine, or if you've had a distaste for red wine, this is a great bottle of wine. Like, all of the red wines I've drank are just been fantastic and phenomenal. And I can't speak any more highly of them. And I would definitely check them out.
That's from the Cana folks. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I'm drinking tonight's. I went into the cellar and I pulled out. This is a bottle of Dunham Cellars. Eric Dunham hired me 25 years ago. Oh. And yesterday, I started my 26th harvest. We picked Chardonnay yesterday and brought that in and pressed that off and had a big celebration and stuff. And so, 26 years I've been making wine, and it's largely in part to Eric. Eric was a very good friend of mine. He passed away in 2014. I do make a small production of wine for him every year called, not every year, I only make it in the best years, called Off He Goes. And I've made a wine for him called Light Years as well. Again, I don't make it every year. It's really only when, like, if a barrel speaks to me from that particular vineyard, I'll bottle that for him. And so, yeah. And, Eric and I went and saw a bunch of Pearl Jam shows together as well. And I remember when I was not even emailing. Well, I probably was emailing by then. 2001, was getting in touch with Corinza at the 10 Club. I don't know if you knew Corinza or know that name at all, but she worked for them for a while. She was actually their photographer, like 03, 05, 06. Any pictures you probably saw of Pearl Jam outside of professional photographs, if they were like, a 10 Club photo, Corinza probably took that. Anyway, she worked in the 10 Club office with Tim Bierman. And I remember Eric and I saying, God, I wonder if we got to try to get some wine to the band when they come to Seattle. And Corinda would always be the one who would answer. She's like, oh yeah, no problem. And, we send wine to the Tin Club. And so that was kind of our, we felt like super special, like you think about 2000, 2001, that band was barely 10 years old at that time. And they were certainly the biggest band in the world or one of them. And so it was like, it felt super cool. And that was, Corinda was my introduction to Tim, and Tim introduced me to everything, everybody. It was great. So another thing that, another friendship that Pearl Jam helped form. So, and what a loyal band that is. Think about all the people that have worked for them for almost the entire time, their guitar techs and their drum techs and their manager Smitty. I mean, been with them forever, so it's pretty cool organization for sure. So
let me ask you a question. I don't know if I've ever asked this of you in the 5 years I've been doing the show. I know everyone has a different taste, and I know it's got to be pretty complex in building a palette or building a new flavor or a new brand for your winery.
Mhm.
What is the process like when you need to make a new one? Does it take a long time? Is it like, hey, I feel like
No,
these
no,
grapes and these grapes work together, or
nope. I mean, creating a new SKU, essentially, right? We make 10 wines every year, 10 different wines. They're pretty much the same one. I mean, the same labels, right? The Enchantress Chardonnay is always the Enchantress. It's always the same vineyard, but the vintage is different every year, right?
mm-hmm.
But I have vineyards that I've picked up over the years that I think are special vineyard sites. And if they prove it right and they're really special, then they deserve to be bottled on their own.
Okay.
And if they need to be bottled on their own, we've got to create a label for that and come up with a new name. And so that's where things like, and then, with doing things for Eric in that instance, for instance, was just, I just pulled a couple of barrels of my favorite Syrah from Lake Helene, which is in Walla Walla, and because I wanted to do something special for him, and that was back in 2014. I did it in 2016. The vintage was 2014, with the year he died, and so I bottled a 2016 version, a 2014 version of the very first. Back then, it was called Force of Nature, but I had to change the name. So, it's really just if something really jumps out and speaks to us.
Okay.
All the things that we've created so far, all of the different wines that we make, each one individually, all had to start off on the first vintage, and so those wines had to speak to us in the same way, shape, or form anyway to be able to create them in the first place. But we knew we wanted a Cabernet for the winery. We knew we wanted a Bordeaux blend. We knew we wanted a Syrah, and we just sort of kept expanding from there. So,
Okay.
yeah,
it's just interesting to me to because there's so many different flavors and palettes out there, and you try these different
yeah,
wines, and they're just so unique to each
yeah,
other. I just don't know how
yeah.
hard it is, but then it's
I,
how to keep that recipe
I'll
up.
tell you, I watched an interview with Rick Rubin, or listened to an interview with Rick Rubin the other day, and someone had asked him if when he's producing an album, uh, does he think of the consumer when he's doing that? And before the guy could finish the question, his answer was no.
Wow.
He said, the minute you start making something for somebody else instead of for yourself, you're just setting yourself up for failure. And I'm like, in a lot of ways, he's right, because if you're not making it for yourself, then you're not being authentic. And you're just making a product. You're just like putting Heinz ketchup out there instead of whatever. I mean, like, it's it's not to say that you can't go sell that product, but it's not going to be authentic to anyone. Do you think Tom York, when he sits down to write a song, is thinking about, God, wow, man, I really hope these people like it?
No.
I mean, that's no, not in any way, shape, or form. And I'm me and my winemaking team, we make wines for ourselves. We think about the wine that we want to make, the wine that we want to drink. And we think that they're they are compelling enough that enough people are going to think the same thing. Not everybody. I don't want to make wine for everybody. That'd be super boring. There's a lot of wines out there like that, and those
Sure.
are the wines that are. It's like listening to pop radio. You know, I mean, think about this. Think about you're an eighth grader now. If my eighth grader came home and told me, oh, these are the bands that all the kids are listening to, I wouldn't know one name. If I looked them up on Instagram, they'd probably have 25 million followers, right? Or whatever. I
So
mean,
true.
everyone, you know, that music is made for the masses. And so, and we're not making wine for the masses. We're making wine for the few people who find us that, maybe are going to be as interested in what we're doing as we are. We hope
I
they are.
I
So yeah,
I
and
think I
we're
think
pretty
that's
proud. We are really proud of the stuff that we make, and our goal is to make the best versions of every wine that we do, um, in our own voice. I guess the best way to put it. Like we want our wines to be different. We don't want them to be the same. So
well, I dig that.
yeah,
Well,
how's that?
I'm gonna have to. Well, first of all, it's been a while since I've gotten a good palate of sleight of hand cellars wine, so we're definitely gonna. I'll make sure I have to get some of that soon. But cheers to was it 5 years?
5 years,
Yeah,
buddy.
5 years.
Happy
May
anniversary.
happy anniversary. And then what?
And
Maybe another five. Another five. Here we go.
you're doing number 5. Absolutely. You kidding
Yeah,
me?
yeah.
Let's listen. We'll do this. We'll do this show as long as the band is still playing. And if they're not playing, then we can figure out another way to
Well, figure
we
the
could
shit out.
transition the show to something
Figure the
cool.
shit.
So
Well,
yeah.
let's
By
go
the way, do
right
you see
in.
this?
What? The original? Yeah. Is that original?
That's the OG baby.
Jesus, you're literally wearing
OG.
probably like $1,000 shirt.
OG. More than that, I could sell it for $3,000. I had a guy from Canada offer me $3,000 for this.
Oh, insanity,
I
insanity.
wear this thing all the time, man.
I
It's
know
like
it
the
looks
people who
good.
don't open their fucking vinyl. That just kills me.
I get it. I get
Like
it. I
play that
get it.
shit.
I get it.
It's like,
I'm like downsizing a lot of. I have so much shit. I'm just trying to get rid
well,
of some.
I sent you I told you I'm like I'm sitting on that Benaroya,
Mm-hmm.
and you know I listen to it, but it's not like I'm playing that thing once a month. It's like I'll pull that thing out once a year and play that thing. It sounds great, but I know that people want that thing so badly. The problem is, A, I have opened it,
Yeah, that
and
doesn't
B,
mean
the
it's.
outside. Oh, it makes a difference for sure. And then the outside, because I don't have the wrapper around, it's not
Oh,
wrapped. That orange, deep burnt orange color kind of rubs
faded.
off, and
Mm.
so the photos of it, people are like, "Oh, Jesus Christ!" I'm like,
You see,
"So
you
you're not
the
playing
best
the
way to
box."
the best way to sell that to do like one of those like the go on Facebook and do like one of those like raffle things and you make a shit ton of money. We could talk about that off air.
All
Anyway,
right.
let's talk about. So we have a couple segments tonight. Might have to remove some because of time consuming, but the first one I want to
We
talk
might
about.
have, by the way, as I'm sitting here, it's 6:20 already. We might have to do this. Might have to be like a part 1 and part 2, but that's okay.
We could do that. Yeah, we can go with a couple
Yeah.
of
Well,
topics.
we'll
Come
see.
back to it.
I don't
We'll
want.
see.
I don't want to. I don't want to cut us short as we're into stories, and then like I don't want you looking at your watch, going, "Hey, man, we got to move to that," because I have 6 topics to get through.
Yeah,
I want us to be able to talk about this stuff, and if we want to do a part 2, we can do that.
I think that's good. Maybe we'll do the
All right.
first. We'll do. Let's see how many we can get through tonight. Because I mean, I
Yeah, yeah,
thought these were good but I mean, it'd be good.
yeah.
Maybe we
No,
come
they were
back to
great.
this next week or so. I don't know.
Yeah.
But first one is gonna be our favorite Pearl Jam memory. And when I talk about that, it's like something that like one of the ones that really stick out. I have one for sure, and I'm very excited about talking about this. And I've talked about it in the past, but I'm gonna open up a little bit more about it. It's kind of like something that like just a highlight, a standing out moment. Like maybe it's an iconic set list, maybe it's a character interaction, emotional experience, something that like there's a moment that Pearl Jam really affected you. So I'll start with you. I'll let you go first, and then we'll talk. We'll go into my story.
Well, I mean, I wrote down like 10. So you're asking me to go to one.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Um, you know, I was at Drop in the Park, and I remember everything from the moment I found out that they were going to make, that I knew there was going to be an announcement that the tickets were going to go on sale on the end. And I remember the day of getting the tickets. This is like 3 weeks before the actual show. They were free, right? Free concert. I remember getting down to the uh, Seattle area in downtown Seattle, having to get on the buses to get down there. And then, of course, the show. I lost a Doc Martin that day. I ended up with one Doc Martin on at the end of the day. So I had one shoe. Having to get back on the bus. Everything about that day. And we've all, if you're really a fan, I'm sure you've all watched the Drop in the Park show on YouTube, because is one of the great Pearl Jam shows. So that's one of my like early memories. Fast forward, meeting my friend Matt at the Gorge shows in 05, 06, and he's one of my best friends now. Meeting Jeff Whitman at Pearl Jam 20, and he's obviously one of my best friends. Guy married Holly and I. Making wine for the band for the home shows. But yeah, at that point I was like, what else is there? And then just the flurry of other memories. I mean, there's so much stuff. So I remember the 2016 tour fondly, because of getting to spend a lot of time with Tim on those, because we did a lot of stuff together for fundraising stuff in Boston and in New York and Philadelphia. We did a bunch of work with Music Cares that year. And so, yeah, that was great. So, but yeah, so many. I mean, I'm thankful to have them. I mean, I'm thankful that they've given us 34 years so far to create all these memories. And I hope they do it. I hope they continue to do it and find a new drummer and do it on their own time. And even if they want to tour every 4 or 5 years, I don't care. As long as they still want to do it. So, how about you?
So mine is a unique one. I mean, Pearl Jam was always something big for me, and I had gone back to college and I was working on my degree in photography. And I remember like going home one night and like I was telling Heather goals, and I'm like, I think my big goal is to photograph Pearl Jam. She's like, how are you gonna make that happen? I have no idea. So what I did was I started looking at connections of bands that were tied to Pearl Jam that were lower. This is when Starring the Laughing Dogs were big. So I started emailing bands that had ties to Pearl Jam, lying to them, saying that I was a photographer for a magazine to see if I can get credentials to photograph them for shows. So I ended up photographing Starring in the Laughing Dogs, Liam Finn, St. Vincent, Carbon Leaf, I mean Blake Shelton, all these big artists. I just kept bullshitting my way to photograph these people. Now this is pre like background checks and shit like that, and then like my reputation started growing. Magazines would actually start hiring me, and then I was growing this thing, and I used to carry this ukulele around. I actually still have the ukulele. Is this right here? Yeah. No, it's not. Somewhere. I'll show you later. I have a ukulele that I would bring to these shows and get them signed. And I brought this ukulele to every show to get signed by the artist I was photographing until I photographed Pearl Jam, because I had
same ukulele, ukulele, all signed by different people.
Yeah, hold on.
I got you.
Hold on, I'll grab it real quick.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna kill some time here while Anthony's off looking for his ukulele. How's everybody else out there doing? Hope you guys are doing well. 34 years, people. It goes by in a heartbeat. I'll tell you that. So I think I got a maybe 27-year-old kid now and all that stuff. So
I don't know.
I just feel
anyway.
I'm just filling in the dead space. That's right.
Okay, sorry. So anyway, so I brought it around. I even had the only band that refused to sign it was some country act, Brooks and Dunn or some, I don't remember, some country act. Anyway, so I kept requesting to photograph the band. Baltimore was declined, New York I was declined, Boston I was declined, kept getting declined. So I got to a point where I thought it was never going to happen. Then in 2013, they announced they were playing Charlottesville, Virginia, which was right up the road for me. I worked there all the time, and I put a request in for it, and I gave this long hey, what the band means to me, blah 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 blah, and literally within seconds I was declined. And at this point, I was doing some radio morning show stuff with this band, well not this band, I'm sorry, with this radio DJ. Where I would go Tuesdays and Thursdays, be on the show, and I would talk about modern music that I was listening to, and we do some goofy stuff, whatever. One of the guests was one of the head of a magazine called The Berg in Lynchburg, Virginia. And the night before Pearl Jam, I already had tickets for it. It was me, my wife, my dad, and Brady going to see this show. And the night before Charlottesville, we had just come back from Baltimore. I got a phone call from him. He's like, "Hey, I got a question for you." He's like, "Are you photographing Pearl Jam?" I said, "No, they've been declined. I think I'm at this point. I think I'm just going to give up." And he said, "Listen, we're going to hire you to photograph the band."
Nice. For the Bird?
For the Berg.
How about that?
And I was shocked. This is not even the best part about this story, because this is where things get interesting. So I, in turn, was like, I'm going to do this different. I'm going to photograph it in film. I'm going to photograph it digitally, whatever. So I ended up bringing like a 120 film camera. I brought like my 35 millimeter. I brought my Nikon D3 at the time, all these things. So I photographed the film. But the best part of the story is what led up to it. At this point, I was still trying to get into the Pearl Jam community. I was trying to find my way in. And there was people in the community that like I knew about. I was going to wish list pre-parties, and I was trying to just find like a niche to get in. Because I was a young kid trying to find my way in, and I just didn't feel belonged yet. But there was a couple of people that I noticed that like I was always like, hey, these seem like good people. Like Brad and Sam were one of them. Like I always saw Brad and Sam at parties, and I was in lines with them before, and they were always so nice. But like it was just conversations. It was never friendships. When I went in Charlottesville, when I was outside going in, this is the first time I ever had a conversation with Brad. Brad came up to me. He's like, "Hey, I have an extra ticket for Charlottesville. Do you need it?" I said, "No, I'm actually going in. I'm going to photograph the band." And he's like, "Oh, that's awesome." He's like, he's a good luck. And that was my first conversation with Brad. I walk in, Tanya Kang, who I adore, actually saw me walk in, gave me a high five. And then there was Matt Sterrell, not Matt Sterrell, I'm sorry. Oh God, I can't think of his name. Matt's blanking. I saw all these people coming in that I've known for years that saw me going down, that knew like my buildup of wanting to photograph this band, and I saw him. And my dad, when I was in good terms with him, this is the first time I've seen Pearl Jam, and he knew how big of this moment was. Like he was in the audience, so he saw me. I was wearing like a Jeff Mint Army bright orange hoodie, so like I was visible in the front row, photographing. And the song Release was always something that was dear to me, because it was always like that connection I had with me and my father. Like it was just weird because we had this weird connection. And when they played that song, I remember photographing that song with like fucking bawling my eyes out.
Oh yeah.
And and then the photos I took of that show, I ended up making the film photos. I ended up making some prints, and I gave them to Wishlist Foundation, and then I ended up making some prints and selling them myself to go to different charities. I gave my second to last one, I only have like one left, last year for Brady's event. Did I give you one or no? Do you not have one?
I don't think so. No.
Oh, then I can send you one. So I had these, and then ended up making all these like crazy prints off them and whatever. But anyway, I remember when they started playing Corduroy, I had to go back out to my car and drop my cameras off in my car and come back in. And I remember walking in to the arena, and it was like right when you walk in, and I remember like just like bawling. And I've still thought back to this memory of like why I started crying at that moment, because I'd already cried like 4 fucking times that day. Like I had dried out my eyes. But I remember like standing there listening to Corduroy in the like lobby, crying, while my wife and my son and my dad are up watching the show and all these things. And I'm like, I thought like at that point in my life, I was like, I don't know what was next. I didn't know what was going to come of this entire event, but I knew like I'd achieved a goal that I didn't think was possible, and it came. And you can still see that photo I took of Eddie Vedder that's on the Berg. It's on the website. If you just search Anthony Krzyzewicz in Lynchburg, Virginia, it's like the first thing that pops up. That ended up getting me on the cover of a magazine for photographing a bunch of things. I ended up getting paid to photograph a bunch of Blake Shelton shows. Like it opened a lot of doors. Unfortunately, there's no money in photography, and I ended up spending more money than I made when I came to photography and getting out of it completely. But I mean, there was that show in general, especially when it came to Pearl Jam, really opened my eyes to how amazing the community was. And then it was weird because my best friend now, who's Brad, and I adore him and Sam tremendously, like that was the first interaction I had with them, 2013. And then, you're talking 12 years later.
Mhm.
It was just weird. So like that moment to me was like this, like if you can dream it, you can do it. Like
Yeah.
it's pushed me to like push Brady a little bit into his things. Like if you envision it, like don't give up on it because it could fucking happen. And it
Yeah.
did happen for me, and it was weird. It was a weird, fucking total weird experience. It's still weird to me to think back to. Um, I'd love to photograph them again, but I'd almost want to photograph them not with a digital camera again. I'd want to do it completely in film, completely like experimental. Like, I mean, but
So Charles Peterson style.
yeah. Well, I mean, like
I
I don't.
mean, like, the old film guys, man, you look at all the stuff that he created and how, you didn't recognize whether or not what you did worked or not until you got that stuff developed at home.
Well,
So,
that was the weird thing. So I thought I had fucked up the film. Like, so I left the film in the camera because I knew 120 film, you got to develop it pretty quickly, especially with, I was using, oh God, a Minolta from like 19 fucking 67 or something. It was an old camera that was given to me, that was given from him. It was like a long generation of his older camera. It had light leaks in it. And I remember, and then all at PS, by the way, that photo I took on the 120 film, I gave to Brian Meth, who Brian Meth then turned that photo into his Eddie Vedder print that is one of his more popular
oh,
photos. So that poster that he did of Eddie Vedder is the photo I took on the
oh, that's so
120 film
cool.
from Charlottesville, Virginia. So like the whole round robin, and I'm actually looking at it right now. That photo, really went a lot of places. And I remember, Brian, I sent, and that's another relationship I made because of the Charlottesville show, was like, I sent to Brian. Brian's like, can I make a poster of this? I'm like, yeah, fucking right. Do it. Please do it. So yeah, so that Charlottesville, Virginia show, um, really made a huge impact on my life and, really pushed me to open up more and really try to make more connections.
Yeah. Well, that is an awesome story, and, I felt that way, dozens of times at shows. Just the hearing a song and having it trigger you for whatever reason. Sometimes it just hits out of nowhere. So, yeah,
Well, well
that's awesome.
let's talk about the next topic, right?
Yeah.
So this is the impact of Pearl Jam on our lives personally. So this is like how Pearl Jam music has shaped individuals' identities and life choices. Maybe like talking about how their activism is maybe explored like personal growth in your life, or just reflecting how the music has provided comfort during tough times. So I'll go back to you on this one. What, like, when you think of Pearl Jam and their music, and maybe there's a song or a reference to something like it, how has that impacted your life?
I mean, it's bigger for me. It's a bigger story than that because, they changed the trajectory of my life. Everything, all the decisions that I made because of that band changed everything for me. I was, 19-year-old college student at the University of Georgia when I heard 10 for the first time and saw them for the first time. And because of that, I dropped out of school and moved to Seattle. I wanted to, I wanted to be a part of uh, what was happening up there. I wanted to be immersed in that scene. I wanted to. I was, if you're going to make a stupid decision, do it at, 20. Don't do it at 40. So, um, but music was already so important in my life before Pearl Jam showed up. That um, I recognized that I was too young for Athens when it really happened. That was 80 to 84. And LA was, 82 to 88, 90, whenever that was, New York, punk scene, all that stuff. So, um, and not that I could, not that I was predicting in any way, shape, or form, like, oh, this is where the next thing is happening. All I knew to me was that um, seeing that band live and just feeling that energy and emotion. And it wasn't that it was necessarily speaking to me from a messaging standpoint where I was hearing these lyrics and going, yeah, that's me. Or, I can relate. Cause I don't know if I could relate. My mom and I had a great relationship. My dad and I had a great relationship. They were divorced, but that didn't really affect me in the way a lot of divorces affect other couples, or other kids, I mean. And so, yeah, it wasn't really necessarily like a messaging thing, but for whatever reason, I really connected with um, that band and that music. And so I moved to Seattle and I quit school, moved there, much to my mother's chagrin. Maybe she would have been listening to Pearl Jam after that because she was so angry at me. But and a lot of the decision making over the next 10 to 15 years revolved around that band, and certainly you've seen how it's transformed into me starting a winery that's named after one of my favorite songs and having all these wines and getting to sort of interact with them on a fundraising level. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's just bringing me so much joy to even think about that. And so, yeah, when you say phrase it from the standpoint of what the impact on your life, it's pretty big.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's crazy, right?
I didn't move to LA when Motley Crue, came out with Shadow the Devil. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if I probably maybe if I was 21 at the time, I probably would have. But
Well,
you know,
I would say you maybe dodged a bullet. I mean, based off of how things are right now with them, I don't know if you've seen videos recently of Vince singing. It's pretty bad.
ooh, well,
Hero.
most most of those guys. So,
Oh yeah.
but anyway, yeah, that's my story. So,
No, I mean, well, I mean, I would say that the band impacts your life. I mean, look, I mean, who would have thought 5 years worth of doing shows
doing a
talking about a
podcast
band?
together.
Five
Yeah,
years, right? It's crazy. I think,
yeah.
their music in general has been this blanket for me in my adult years tremendously. Like I listened to them when I was a kid. Definitely for sure. And I know that there's an age gap between us. Um but I mean in the idea of
Wait,
it,
what?
age gap, age.
What?
Yes.
What's the age gap? How old do you think I am?
We've talked about this. Listen, all right? If you want to do the math, I'm the same age as your wife. And you can go back from there. I'll let you figure that number out. Wait, no, actually, she's younger. Wait, because she hasn't turned 40 yet, has she?
Hmm?
Has she turned 40? No,
No,
I didn't think so. Is it this year or next year?
next year.
Next year. So she's a year younger
Her
than me.
birthday's St. Patrick's Day. No, my wife is perpetually 34. What are you guys talking
Especially
about?
34. Listen,
Jesus.
age is just a number. Beauty is forever.
I love her.
Uh, but and listen, and realistically, if you ever saw a picture of Holly, you would not think she's doesn't look a day over 31. Let's be realistic. All right, moving on.
You are
But
correct. You are correct.
I will say this: when it comes to Pearl Jam and the impact on life, this might be silly to some. This song "Given to Fly," the meaning of it is totally irrelevant to this part. Given to Fly to me was always about like taking that leap and moving forward, right? And
Yeah.
for me, I wanted that to be the first song my kids ever heard when they were born. So when
Mm.
Brady was born, the first thing he ever heard coming out was, I remember it, and it drove the doctor and my wife nuts in the fucking in the room. Baby's out, and it was CD. I'm pushing play on the CD player, and that was the first thing he heard live. And the same thing for Charlotte. And as a matter of fact, when Heather's water broke and we were on the way to the hospital, I had to turn back around because I had made a mix CD that we had to listen to before we went to the hospital. So on the way to the hospital, I
You
stopped,
turned around after her water broke.
turned around to run back inside to get the mix CD. Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah. I should bring Heather down for that. She'd probably fucking tell you she hated every minute of it. But it was important to me, this connection of them hearing that song as like this, because to me that song is has been a blanket for me in a lot of tough times, where I could listen to that song at a very high volume and it just gives me goosebumps every time, and it almost gets me
Yeah.
out of a trance of being in a shit mood or being in down thinking myself. So the music in general has been there in ways that other people, like personal people or interactions can't. And it sounds weird, and some people might not understand this, but there's times where I can't communicate with people, but I can have music do the like music gives me a feeling of like that angst or that depression or that frustration, that I can listen to a certain song that Pearl Jam's made that can get me out of it. And Given to Fly has always been that, like, when I think down on myself or when I think that I can't or when I think that like it's impossible, like that song's always been the motivation to move forward. And I wanted that for my kids. I wanted my kids to always, and I listen, and now I think back to it, I'm 40 years old and I was like in my 20s at this time. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? I should be more focusing on my wife. But like to me at that time, I was like, if they hear this song, this is me giving them something. Like this is the first thing they're ever hearing. Like this is like telling them that they could do whatever they want to. And
Yeah.
it was always meaningful. Like I remember, being a dad for the first fucking, 3 minutes of my life, and I'm holding, I'm looking at my son, and I didn't go to parenting classes, and I thought its head had exploded, and it was just a misshaped head, and it was a long story. But Given a Fly is being played in the background, and I just kept looking at him, and I just remember like thinking back to like the bad experiences from my parents and the shitty way that they raised me, and just being angst up inside of like, fuck them, I'm going to do better. And like, I'm going to give you every opportunity in this world to move forward and do better than me. And like, it was the weirdest thing, because that song's like, what, 3 minutes long? I swear to God, like listening to that song with Brady, watching him, and like, I just knew that I wanted to do better. And the song has
Yeah.
nothing to do with that, but that is like how, like I had to have Pearl Jam be like, they had to be a part of Pearl Jam. Brady's seen him live multiple times. Heather's seen him live multiple times. Charlotte still hasn't seen him, and I'm really concerned about that because I don't know what the future holds. But you know, and who would have fucking, like I said, who would have thought like that this band would have motivated me to do a podcast, would have motivated me to do charitable events, would have motivated me to travel the country. I mean, this band changed my life in ways that like it gave me friends when I didn't have friends. So
Yeah, that's the big one. That's the other one is like, you talk the impact of your life. It's like, again, all the friends you met, all the friends you made, and all the experiences that have come out of those friendships, which are innumerable, and you can't put a number on that. That's priceless. So
I mean,
pretty awesome.
you can't pick your family, but you can pick your friends. And the friends that I talk to the most are
And your nose.
I guess you can pick your nose. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. Good point. That is a very valid point. But I mean there is people that I've met through Pearl Jam that if they called me at a moment's notice, I'd be on a plane to go help them, regardless. Family wise, I don't know if I have a lot of family members that if they called me, that I would jump in a heartbeat to help them. And I know it
Yeah.
sounds terrible, and some people are like, oh, it's fucked up. You just haven't lived my life, but
Yeah.
you know, it's amazing what a band can do, what their music can do, and how it can be that, like I said, that's like comfort. You know, I mean, my basement is a shrine that fucking huge Pearl Jam Pittsburgh poster. I mean, that thing takes up my whole goddamn wall. I traveled from Seattle to this. I mean,
Is that the extra large Ames Bros?
oh yeah, that's the one that
Yeah.
I had to travel, carry that thing. That fucking poster tube was 5 foot tall. I'll never forget carrying that through the airport. Yeah, I mean, there's so much. I mean, the band's changed a lot in my life, and I will say one of the craziest things for me was seeing Pearl Jam at Fenway Park, because that like the Red Sox are probably, I mean, they're just up there with Pearl Jam when it comes to like what they mean to me, and being able to see Pearl Jam at Fenway Park was amazing.
That
And then
16 or 18?
16 and 18 both times, and in 18 I was able to go
Oh, look at all
inside.
those shows we've been to together.
We've talked. It's fucking insane to me how many shows we've actually been together and just didn't know
Mhm.
it. But in 18, like I remember going inside the Green Monster, and that was like a lifelong dream of mine. And then I have this picture I'm looking at right now of me pushing my fat ass outside the Green Monster with Pearl Jam on it. And it's like two of the greatest two things that were blankets for me my entire life. But changing a life, yeah. I don't know if I'd be the person I am today without the music and influences that Pearl Jam has, and the fact that Pearl Jam talks about being, giving back and being active
Yeah.
and being an activism, because I don't know if I'd be so active on things and be so vocal on some of the things or want to give back if it wasn't for Pearl Jam. In the many
I
years,
I I I was gonna say the same thing. I think that they sparked an activism in folks that maybe they would probably be more complacent to certain things, they definitely have helped raise awareness for causes that maybe weren't necessarily on your radar.
yeah,
Um, but it's a band that has empathy, which we need more of these days.
yeah,
And they have, I think, shown their fans how to utilize that empathy and for good. Um, yeah, that's all good causes. Um, yeah, I just too many superlatives for this band that I've got in my toolbox for sure, in my
you know.
vocabulary.
Do you know who I'd love to ask this question to, honestly, and like really get a sincere answer from them? I'd love to ask this question to Tim Bierman. Because if you think about how much he's done with the band and how much the band's done with him in general, I feel like that they've got to have changed. I mean, they've been a big part of his life and how they changed it. But
Oh, I mean, yeah, if you think again, the employees of that band and uh, again, it's hard to think about anyone that's been with them less than uh, you know
10 years?
10, 15 years. I mean, most of these people are a long, long time. They've been with the band. So sometimes I wonder if that comes into consideration as they talk about their own future. Do they think about, well, gosh, we have 18 employees that work for us full time or whatever that number is. You have no idea, but whatever that number is, right? I wonder if that comes into conversation with them, or if that's part of their thinking, um, w- for touring and for all that stuff. I
Well,
mean,
well, even
on the
think
one
about
hand, I think it's not because
yeah,
they wouldn't do it if those guys aren't going to go phone it in.
no,
They're not going to, you know what I mean? So they obviously want to play music, but that is something that is part of their, that's their family is much larger than 5 people. You know what I mean?
I
The
totally
Pearl
agree with you.
Jam family that's within their world. I mean, it's significant. So, but what an
Well,
impact it's made for all those guys. You're right. Yeah.
well, think back even to like COVID. If now once again, this is just I never got this from the horse's mouth, but it was a very popular story online was that Pearl Jam never laid off anybody and they paid everybody. So even during COVID, instead of taking the easy route, which I mean, it's not an easy route, it's the safe route of laying people off or doing something because they had to cancel an entire tour.
Yeah.
They, from my understanding, and once again, I could be wrong, but it was a pretty common story online was that Pearl Jam never shut 10 Club down. They continue to pay their employees and do things and do right by them. And I know one of the topics that was talked about with Eddie in some interviews was like they have to pay certain people certain things, and that's why ticket prices are what ticket prices are, and they have to make sure that people are paid. So, it's a tough pill to swallow sometimes with the cost of tickets, but I mean, in the same sense too, it's honorable and respectable that they turned around and made sure that the people that are close to them, instead of them struggling, because here's the thing. I mean, honestly, like Eddie and the guys, they during COVID, they have enough money in the bank. They don't have to worry. They have no concerns whatsoever. And they have residual checks coming in, that no issues. But the people that are taking care of them, they're not making those kind of funds. So for them to step up and do that speaks highly
Yeah.
and speaks volumes for the
Yeah,
character.
I don't know any of that either, so I can't speak on that. But they certainly seem like the kind of band that would do that. So
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Well, I
yeah,
will say this. It's 8:56. I don't think we're going to be able to get on the topic in. I mean, we only did fucking 2. So and I know that we're both short on time. So I think we're going to have to do a part 2. And the way fucking things are going, it might be a part 3. Who the hell knows? Um, but I will say
I
this
mean,
before
listen, well, go ahead, go ahead.
I will say, I do want to say one thing, and I mean this, and I was going to wait till the end of the episode. In general, I thought we were going to go through all 6 topics, and then I was going to go back to this, but I want to say this: if there's one thing that I'm super grateful for, and especially when it comes to Pearl Jam, and I've made amazing friends, and Brad and Sam are 2 people that I adore. They've become family. My kids look at them as aunts and uncles, but to me personally, I will say that it has been an honor to have met you, for you to have let me come into your life because of Pearl Jam, for us to have been able to make the impact that we made. One of the greatest memories that I'll ever have, that it's Pearl Jam related but not, is during our event in Seattle, and I got the text message from I forgot the lady's name at Smash, and she said, we've gone beyond. And I forgot the number off the top of my head, but I remember looking at the text message and coming to you crying because we had blown out of the park how much money we raised. And then I went on stage and I was like, hey, we just hit this number. And then we were raffling something off, and it just was like another 5,000, another 10,000. And I remember the beginning of that conversation that day, talking to Smash and how important it was to be able to raise money for these artists that are struggling out there. And we were doing this, and I knew the impact we were making. And it all led back to the fact that you let me into your life and let me be a part of this journey with you. Like, being a part of your life and being a part of this journey and being a part of this cause and being able to raise this money for these things has meant so much to me. Like, I'm grateful for the band allowing me to be able to cross paths with you, to be able to make the impact in people's lives. And that, to me, is worth every episode I've done and every show I've been to and everything that it allowed me to come into these crosshairs with you.
Well, that's very sweet, Anthony, and I appreciate you bringing all of your talent and energy into helping us. Certainly for that event alone, just helping us fundraise for Smash. Um, but I know how much you've done outside of anything that we've done together. I know you've done stuff locally for your own organizations there in Kansas City and back in Virginia. And I know that every time you guys traveled, you were doing stuff with Wishlist prior to you going off on your own and doing Touring Fan Live and start doing Touring Fan Live and stuff. So so I'm just as grateful for you as well. And again, how many bands could sort of create a community of people that are like this. So I think of the Grateful Dead and all these other organizations, all these other bands that have certainly similar followings, and but there's not a lot of them.
No.
Yeah, there really aren't. This is a special community of people for sure. So grateful. I'm grateful to be a very small part of that. And and it's fun to get together once every month or once every 6 weeks or once every 8 weeks or whatever it is we end up doing. It's fun just getting to hang out with you for an hour, hour and a half, and shoot the shit and talk about our favorite band. So that's pretty great.
Well,
But I know that there was so much more
we're gonna have to go
talk
back to,
about.
because we have fucking, I don't know, like 6 more topics to get to. So what we'll do is this: we'll do a part 2, maybe 3. Who the hell knows? Text me later what your schedule looks like next week or the week after, and we'll go from there. But I know that you're on a short schedule. I am as well. And
we did start harvest yesterday here in Washington State. We picked Chardonnay yesterday, and I've got more Chardonnay coming off on Friday, and then our reds are going to start rolling in. So it is going to be a bit crazy, but my evenings are usually open. I'm not because I'm not the one staying to the winery until 10 o'clock at night anymore like I used to. I have a little more free time on my hands, so
we'll figure it out.
You and I can chat.
You text me some dates. We'll get it all figured out. We'll do part 2. We'll do topics about like community and connection, the band's influence on social issues, lessons learned from Pearl Jam, and looking ahead for what's next for us and Pearl Jam. And then we'll go from there, and maybe we'll add some things in between. But what we'll do is this: we'll end the show. Let me put on some Idols in the background on one of my favorite songs right now, which is called
Idols.
Oh, you're not an Idols fan?
I love Idols.
Oh, what to say?
Idols. You said Idols, right?
I did say Idols.
Yeah. Scottish.
Are they Scottish? Why is their music not? Hear that beeping?
I don't know.
Hear that?
Nope.
Shit. You don't hear. Hold on a second.
You're asking me if I hear anything? Jesus.
It's like a weird fucking beeping.
We're in trouble.
Oh my Jesus Christ. Let me tell you something. I have the biggest issue where I don't use my equipment for fucking.
Go download it on Napster, and then you can probably play it on your MP3 file.
On the MP3 file? Who the hell says MP3 file?
You know what I'm talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about. There we go. All right, we got it fixed.
I was like, go to their MySpace page. Let's do it.
MySpace is still around. Well, anyway, listen.
Tom made some money, man.
Oh, good old Tom. He got out when he should have. That was good. All right, well, listen. I want to say I am super grateful for this band and everything it's given me and the friends it's made. I've talked enough about you and Brad and Sam, and Rhiannon's another one who I'm super grateful for that came into Touring Fan Live, and Michelle, who's continuing to battle cancer up in Cincinnati. Adore her tremendously. So I am super grateful for 5 years. But this is only part 1 of this 5-year episode, so...
Yeah, we got part 2 coming up, so...
Until next time, that's Trey, this is Anthony, and this is the Idols.